I will be considered the biggest misogynist in the history. And I'm already am. But the reality is, this is what women do when men bring up issues with women in relationships. No women ever says, yeah, you know what? You guys are right. We need to address this. Perhaps we need to have legislation passed. Perhaps we need to lobby for men to have domestic violation shelters. Just maybe we should march on Washington. Maybe we should get the family law code changed. Nope, they don't do that. They just say, but that goes both ways. I'm not going to address the women stuff. We need to bring the light back on women. And this is what they do. They don't want to address their issues. They just want to revert back. Yeah, that goes both ways, though. Now, here's the deal. Much of my content, I certainly could play the devil's advocate and be like, yeah, you know what? Women have issues in relationships, too. Okay? I'm certainly a one-sided commentator related to men's issues and women, with women. I'm certainly one-sided. And I'm talented enough to do both sides. Just so you guys know. I'm able to voice the concerns from both sides and play somewhat the middle. Of course, I would have own group preference and lean more towards the men, which I do. But here's the reason why I don't do it. Here's the reason why I don't play the middle. Here's the reason why I don't play the devil's advocate. Here's the reason why I continue to voice the issues in relation to men. And that is because there are already several channels. There are already several media outlets. There are already several organizations. There are already several lobbyist groups that are leading the charge for women. What good would it do for me to change my direction, to change the group, to change my content to reflect the issues of men and women when women already have hundreds of channels? They got The View. They have hundreds of avenues for people to express these concerns. The people who aren't being heard are men, and men need to be heard. We're being left out of the entire argument. Matter of fact, when we bring up an argument, all they do is turn it back to what's affecting them and not even addressing our issue. I believe my brother Obsidian of the Obsidian Media Network, he says it's a non-versation. Okay, we would like to have a conversation about some of these issues, but there's no conversation. There's a non-versation. They're basically saying, yeah, you know what? You're just going to hear from us and we're not going to deal with your issues. Every time you bring it up, we're just going to say, you know what? You must be gay. Here's the deal. It goes both ways. What about when men do it? And that is the second part. What about when men do this? What about when men cheat? What about when men abuse or manipulate? What about when men spend all the money in the marriage? You always talking about when the women are doing. What about when men? See, we're not talking about women right now. We're not talking about you right now or your perspective. I just, for 1 second, would want women to listen to my concern, let it marinate in their brain, go back and forth in their head, rattle around, and then have some sympathy and empathy in regards to our position, and then try to address the concern. See, this is what men do when there's an issue, when women have an issue. It rattles around our brain. We try to understand it. We find ways to address it. And then we move on to the next issue. Women don't do that. Nope. We don't want to hear about your issue. Matter of fact, you're a homosexual for even bringing it up. You must hate women. What about when men do it? And that goes both ways. They don't even listen. They're not even trying to listen. And this is why I tell you guys, God, many times it's not even worth having the non-versation with them because they're not even listening from our perspective. Now, they want us to listen from their perspective because at the end of the day, we pull the weight around here. We're the ones doing the work. Nothing will get done without men. Everybody believe, these women are like, nothing will get done without us. No, men know how to cook, clean, wipe butts, change diapers now. We know how to push pencils around and type on the keyboard now. We know how to cook our own meals. All right. Very few men are that helpless now. Very few men. Maybe 20 years ago, there were men that wouldn't have been able to survive. But we know how to, fill our calendar out. All of these things that they're very good at. All of these things that they threaten to walk off the job and that they don't want to do. Everybody in their dating profile, I'm not going to do this and that. Well, men have figured it out. We figured out how to put our clothes in the laundry and have them folded. And if we can't figure it out, now there's people right now in this gig economy that will do it. That will do it for us. And it's actually quite cheaper to host those individuals to come clean my house and fold my laundry than it is to host a parasite in my home full time and able to do it and to give me marital sex every now and then. See, the reality is, man, does me no benefit to play the middle. It does me more benefit to give it only from the male perspective and then deal with the individuals who try to come in with that shaming language, with that gaslighting tactic, with that let's switch the subject on coach. So now he can argue my point as opposed to me addressing the real issue that he brought up. I'm bringing it up and I want to discuss it. And if you don't want to discuss it, I ain't going to deal with you. That's just how I deal with the situation. I already know what you're going to say. I already know what everybody's going to say in relation to my content. The reality is there are many men that aren't speaking about this, that aren't able to speak about this, be it that they're married, be it that they have a 9-to-5 job, that they're already in the matrix, that they're a blue pill monkey chimpanzee, that they're weak, whatever. Whatever their issue is, they're not able to speak as freely as I am because I'm the free agent. Okay, I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I have some clients. They all know what I do. I would say 90% of them know what I do and talk about. They don't care. They can still deal with me on a professional level. So I'm able to speak about these things. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have a wife that I have to hide content from and hide the way I speak. I don't have anybody that I'm trying to date that I'm trying to hide this information from. Many of the girls that I deal with, they know what I do. They see it. Everybody has Instagram and Twitter and YouTube. And I've made so much content that I've made it difficult for them to actually track down what it is I'm talking about. They might hear a snippet. Some might say, oh, you actually hate women. All right. They just not giving me the opportunity. They're just not willing to listen. If you came to that conclusion, you haven't listened to enough content. If you came to that conclusion, you have only listened to you've only listened to a little bit of content. You haven't even read the book. And this is the thing that I'm going to say. I mean, because there's time. I already have media outlets trying to interview me. All right. And my whole point is going to be, I have so many avenues of content. I have a podcast, several YouTube channels. I believe it's up to 4 YouTube channels now. Then there's Instagram, there's Twitter, there's Snapchat. Then there's the book. There's other collaborations that I'm doing. I've done other interviews. And you're going to try to wind me down to 10, 15 seconds that you heard me talk about something or make a joke about something or highlight the demonic nature of women and say, oh, you just hate women. All right. It's all good with me. At the end of the day, the point still stands. They don't address the concerns. They always try to turn it into their issue as opposed to dealing with the men's issue. And that is just the bottom line.